So the best way for me to help you understand how this works is to show you a demo. So I'm going to have you imagine, if you will, for a moment, that we work at a confection company and we're trying to develop a functional breath mint. This is an area of the market that's not yet been developed, and we think we can get there and tap into this untapped opportunity because of some R&D capabilities that we've come up with that allow us to preserve active ingredients. So there are many drivers that will lead to success for this product. So just like any innovation, there's some things that we feel pretty good about, and there's some things that we've got some big questions around. So what we feel good about is that mints should be intense, they should last long, and they should be sugar-free. But with this new opportunity, we don't really know what to call it or how to position it in the marketplace for success. We don't know necessarily what varieties to offer it in, and we've got some product-specific questions around form, both for the product itself and for the package as well. So we need to collaborate across our innovation ecosystem, so from insights to brand to R&D to our agency partners, to harness the creativity and knowledge of all of those people to effectively get to the very best outcome here, which is again very difficult to do. But we need to identify the product with the greatest potential so that we can determine where we should spend our R&D efforts going forward. So the decisions that will drive success for this product start with things like, again, the name, the tagline, the insight, the benefit, etc., and extend all the way through to some product-specific elements like the pack form and functional varieties, etc. So this process starts in a way that's probably very familiar to you, right? Where your brand manager sits down, looks at the foundational research, and starts with a starting point that she feels really good about, and includes all of her sound assumptions across those key elements, so across the insight, the product name, etc. But Affinova Studio makes the collaborative process possible. Right? So this is an area, it's an online application where we can create professional-looking concepts, collaborate across that innovation ecosystem, across all those functions that we want included in this process to get all the creativity of their thinking out on the table, and to manage all of those ideas and review them in a holistic environment. So what she does is invites everyone who's involved in this product, whether they sit in the cube next to her or in an office down the hall or on the other side of the world. And the team and agency kind of look at that starting point concept and then are able to collaborate on that across the elements that we've determined are worth exploring. So again, this is a starting point concept here. The team and agency have explored a number of different names though. So we're going to go ahead and highlight advancements, and we'll be able to enter in all the other names that were under consideration. So from fitments to enhancements, etc. All told, there were 7 different names that came out of our qualitative sessions and our brainstorming sessions, etc., that we think are worth testing with consumers to see which one drives the most appeal. So now we have 7 different concepts. But we've also got variation around the insight, right? So we started with an insight that focuses on better-for-you products at the grocery store, but we could also position this product as being around convenience, right? The fact that you can do 2 things at once. You could get fresher breath and take your vitamins all in one step. So all told, there are 5 different angles or positionings that were under consideration based on what we heard from consumers in foundational research. Now we've got additional variants around the other things that we're exploring here. So you've got the tagline, you've got the umbrella benefit, you've got the functional variety, etc. And again, people from across our ecosystem are able to contribute their thinking and the work that they've done and have their ideas explored by consumers by including them in this process. At this point, we've been looking at text-based variation, but certainly images are, the technology is robust to be able to handle images from the early stage that we're at, which we kind of worked in line art because that felt the most appropriate. But if you had digital renderings or shelf-ready artwork, all of that can be included in Affinova Studio. One nice thing, or one advantage, is that as opposed to using FTP sites to exchange files back and forth with your agency, everyone uploads their variation right into the application itself, and then it's saved there and can be used, forevermore. But it becomes a very efficient way to collaborate holistically and to identify everybody's thinking and harness the power and creativity that all those different constituents bring to this initiative. So from that starting point concept, we now have 168,000 concepts. And you saw it didn't take us long to get there. We're just talking about 5 different insights and 7 names. These are not huge numbers. But we got to 168,000 by really allowing everybody's thinking to get out on the table here using the application. So we're done with that collaborative stage. It's now time to optimize. So we need consumers' help. We recruit them online based on your target criteria, typically category buyers, and we need around 450 consumers for an average optimization to work. The process for them lasts about 15 minutes. It's highly engaging, and we get really high completion rates because what we're asking consumers to do is something that comes naturally to them. They're just evaluating holistic ideas and telling us which one they'd be most likely to purchase. So they roll their cursor over the thumbnails, they see a magnified view, and they tell us which of a pair they'd be most likely to purchase. A third concept comes up to be evaluated against the one that survived the first choice, and then the fourth and final concept comes up to be evaluated against the one that survived the first two. And again, they're just doing what comes naturally to them, which is evaluating holistic alternatives. Okay, so once they've made their final selection on a page, this is where the algorithm is kicking in. And it's learning in real time what people like, what they don't like. And a simplified representation of how evolutionary optimization works is to imagine, if you will, the concepts on the left side of the page are preferred concepts. These are ideas that the algorithm has learned through people's choices that are things that they like. And what the algorithm will do is continue to search the area of the creative space that's represented by the preferred concepts, and it'll start to show less of the things that are represented by the things that people didn't like. And so by that process, it's rendering new concepts in real time that are more and more reflective of what people like. Another statistical or mathematical step we take is to introduce random jumps. So this is where we bring back variants that didn't perform well earlier in the optimization repeatedly to ensure that there's not some other combination by which that variant performs really well. So in other words, we don't prematurely throw things away into the trash heap. We keep bringing them back. And that's because synergies or interaction effects are really important. And Affinova and Optimizer uniquely accounts for all of those synergies and interaction effects, unlike conjoint or other methods you might be familiar with that are based on modeling part worths or assuming 1 + 1 always equals 2. We're looking for the synergistic combination where 1 + 1 = 3. And we do that throughout this evolutionary process. So that's what it looks like for an individual, right? Because we don't yet know if the whole space was worth pursuing or we just found the best of a mediocre idea. So we've got to evaluate those concepts using in-market competitors in a discrete choice environment to understand really what's the potential of these ideas. So we take our 3 top concepts that emerge from optimization. We're taking a pre-optimization concept, which is the concept that the team was likely to move forward with had they not optimized using our solutions. And then finally, benchmark concepts, which are reverse engineered to be at an unbiased level playing field with the concepts that came out of our optimization. So things like Altoids, the category leaders, etc. And from that evaluation, the key deliverable from this is something we call test concept performance. So this is where we're showing you the performance of test concepts versus a category average, as well as those benchmark concepts that we had created. And it's represented by a % of consumers who would be likely to purchase that concept over all available options. Okay, so what this is telling us is that we've got a pretty good idea here. Our better for you mint is as good, if not better, than the category average, and it's beating out some of the category leaders, right? We're not quite to Altoids levels, but you know, as a new entrant to the marketplace, that probably wasn't our strategic target going into the process, but we're feeling pretty good. We can also look at the source of preference. So if this were a line extension, we could say what percentage of that consumer preference was being sourced from our competitors versus the other things that we already had in market, right? Because that's often very important when we're doing line extensions. We want to know the level of sourcing, right? So in this case, again, we're still feeling pretty good because we're sourcing a large amount of our preference share from our competitors. We're going to look across our top concepts and see if one is disproportionately sourcing from a key competitor, if that was a key decision that we need to make or that was a key criteria for success for this product. We can very quickly look at this and say, you know, how well does one top concept source from a particular competitor versus another. So those are kind of the key deliverables around how good is this idea. We then give you some analytics on why these concepts are performing well or not performing well. And the first of those is something we call element engagement. So this is an aggregation of all the clicks people made when we asked them to tell us which part of the concept they like most and which part they like least. right? So we can aggregate all those clicks together and tell you which area of the concepts got the most action, or where were the people most engaged. And so what you're seeing here is that functional variety, benefits, and ingredients were the key areas that people were clicking on. So we could take that a step further and look at it at a concept level, right? Because it's interesting to see what the overall element engagement was across these concepts, but I want to look at top concept one and understand what was it that people really liked or disliked about this concept, so I can understand, what are my strengths that I should focus on in my marketing efforts, and what watchouts might I have to address before I launch. So in this case, I would look at the ingredient and say, wow, there's a lot of red dots right on that word xylitol. So I can click on the yellow button in the middle of your screen there that says Verbatim Viewer and understand what are the open-ended responses that people gave when asked why they dislike xylitol. And lo and behold, it sounds like a chemical. It has digestive issues associated with it. So now I can take that watch out and either go back and test different ingredients and run another test, or I can decide, hey, xylitol is what I'm going to go with, but I'm going to de-emphasize it by putting it on the back of the pack or not talking about it in my marketing campaign. So all told, Optimizer provides the highest return on consumer insight spend compared to alternatives in the market today. And we've got the research on research to prove it. We're dramatically improving pre-market performance and appeal of concepts across the different types of applications that you can use it for. So this process is more rigorous than traditional methods. You're testing all of your ideas rather than a subjectively chosen subset of everything that you could do. So obviously you're going to get better outcomes if you're testing thousands of ideas as opposed to 2 or 3. It's faster. You get one round of research to answer all of your questions. It can be done in 3.5 weeks, very quickly. It gives you better insights to determine how your concepts perform against in-market competitors. Learn exactly what they like and don't like about it so that you can take action confidently in your marketing efforts. And it gets you better results. Again, we're producing 2 times better in-market success rates than the industry average. And you can do this very cost efficiently. It's the highest return on your investment, and there are also efficiencies associated with doing multi-market testing if that's necessary for your brand.